It's good to see each and every one of you this evening, and we're starting this Wednesday evening to our trilogy. We're going to be studying the family, we're going to study the church, we're going to study the government. And we will be looking at various lessons in that category. First one, I'm going to deal with the institution. When I say something is an institution, it means it's been instituted. It's been established. And God has established not only the family, but He established the church, and He established government as being a minister for Him. And I believe all three of those are under attack today. And you may, well, what do you mean under attack? People are trying to transform it. People are trying to, those institutions are trying to completely destroy what we have known as being the family, the church, government. And it's not reformed, it's transformed. And I wanted this first lesson to show you that in the world that you live in, just to wake up a little bit to the reality that's around us, that it becomes important that we teach our children, the next generation, what is the family, what is the church, what's the government supposed to do, because it's getting ready to be, if people have their way, and you'll see that over time they have their way. That's what I want you to see from here. How long have we been fighting homosexuality? You'll see that, well, back in the 60s. But it took a while. But what happened with homosexuality? It's accepted. In fact, now it's called marriage. It took a while. But when you want to go a direction that is more difficult to stay where you are, it is more exact, it's more exclusive, people won't always broaden it out to what I want to do. You'll find that people that are not anchored in God, which is secular government, will go the easy way. And I think you'll see it unfold before your eyes this evening. The picture we have here on the front is the family, and regardless of what ethnic background you have, God's Word does not depict the family as just being one family superior over other families, but it's the idea of God for all families. You'll notice in the first page, God created the family relationship when He instituted marriage. Because what was to take place in marriage? Well, reproduced after your kind, like all the animals. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. But they were to bring into that marriage of a husband and wife children. And it would be a foundation for which they're to live in society. And you change those fundamental building blocks, you'll change your society. And what happens, what society wants to do will usually change those in order to make it come out the society we want. And that's what's in the battle today. For example, from the beginning, marriage and family have formed an important foundation for societies. Genesis 2, we have marriage. Man shall leave his father and mother, cleave to his wife, they'll become one flesh, the sexual union. According to Genesis 1, it will reproduce after their kind, and they will bring in children into the world, and all of a sudden you have a family. And in Genesis 4, do we have a family? You don't have Adam and Eve merely, but what do you have? At least for a while. There's your two parents in a single home with children. That's what's called the nuclear family. Now, you think you're nuclear, you think, well, they're all messed up and they're burning or something, nuclear. But that means the basic building blocks. That's the nuclear. That's what we're speaking about when we speak about the family. And what happens is that in this family, there's going to be then the marriage and then the family, and there's a teaching opportunity that every generation is able to be taught. And what the Bible does, it respects that. Proverbs 1 and verse 8, it says, a father is speaking to his son, but includes the mother in how they're to learn authority. My son, hear the instruction of the father, forsake not the law of thy mother. You got a son, you got a father, and you got a mother. What is God teaching us through the Father and the Son? To respect authority. To respect it. Here's your mother and father, and you listen to their teaching. You listen and respect them for that. That's Old Testament. We come to the New Testament, Ephesians 6:1. Paul is addressing the children as that letter would be read in the assemblies. There'll be little children there, older children. Children, obey your what? Children, what were you supposed to do to your parents? Disrespect them. Try to do things behind their back. Children, obey your parents. Why? What does God say? Because it's convenient and everybody's going to like you and all that. No, it's right. So you're building your foundation on authority because it's the right thing to do. Not convenient. Not that someone will be praised. It's the right thing to do. And so you have the family relationship in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. Romans, that should be 13, 1 through 7, teaches the respect for authority. That you need to respect the authority. You need to respect them not on the basis that they can do you bad if you do bad, but for conscience sake. Conscience means it's right. And a child is going to learn to respect the police officer. Is going to respect the authorities there because it's the right. He does it not only because I don't want to go to jail, I don't want to get hurt, I don't want to be shot, I want to do what's right. And they have that authority. God has instituted government for that. And then just the honor of everybody. Honor all men, 1 Peter 2:1. That honor the king. If you live under a king, there's the rule. There's that authority that is established. And here's the guidance that the Bible gives, and what we do, we take it into our family relationship, and we ingrain that. Maybe that's a bad word for you, but we teach it, and we mirror it in our lives as respect for authority. That becomes a foundation for society to live in harmony with one another. Somebody's got to obey the laws. And to live with respect with one another. There's honoring people. And then, of course, the Christian comes along and we're to love everybody. That means we're to seek the well-being of people that we come in contact with. All men deserve that, even our enemies. And so God instituted these relationships, but they're a building block for our society. Now today, the nuclear family is under attack throughout the world. It's not just here. And again, what we're about to look at is not reformation, it's not reforming something, it's transforming this. And the first one we have is Black Lives Matter. Do Black Lives matter to you in your life? Well, everybody's lives matter. Blue lives matter? Yeah, everybody's lives matter. And we have to realize, what is this about? Black Lives Matter. If we're going to look at it from a political standpoint, just notice what statutes are being torn down these days. Just Confederate generals? Got rid of Columbus, some places. And just recently, Teddy Roosevelt and Lincoln went down. What's that about? What Confederate general were they? Why would that be happening? Because Black Lives Matter, and those who want to associate with them, there's 50 organizations with them, by the way. They don't want to reform. They're going to wipe out all of our history and transform it after what they want it to be. I saw this in Lithuania, when every time the communists came in to destroy and to take over, Lithuania stands between Mother Russia and regular Russia. And the first time they just come in and wipe them out. They would wipe out all of their literature. Why? That's our connection with our culture. We're going to completely wipe it out. And other generations come, they won't have a Lithuanian literature to go back to. And just watch. It's not Confederate general. That's the way, because see, that was racist, and we'll now use that as a sparking plug to now we really want to eliminate all facets of your memory of your founding, because the founding of America is wrong in their eyes. But what did they use? So I say here under the picture here, and we'll look at that picture in just a moment. It's a collective movement for BLM. So that's what that means. Movement for Black Lives Matter. is a collective of over 50 organizations with a variety of goals to transform. I want that to keep in mind. We're going to transform our society. In the beginning, BLM had 27% approval rate in 2016, right after the Ferguson riots. And of course, you could get into these, but all of them have a narrative that fits their place. And now the material is coming out of the trial of Breonna, who was killed. And you wonder why nobody got indicted? Because nobody did wrong in that one. Read that one. When you begin to realize that the good boyfriend was protecting her because they thought the bad boyfriend coming into their apartment, notice the guy, I shot, but I didn't shoot to kill. Well, who got hit? The policeman got hit where? In the leg. The guy didn't want to kill anybody. He was protecting his girlfriend from the bad one. Who did the cops think was in there when the shooting started? Thought it was the bad dude. And they shoot. I guess she's in the hallway. She's not in bed. She's in the hallway. She gets killed. Both parties did not do wrong there. Do you hear that narrative? Doesn't fit. It's racism. And it doesn't make any difference. It's what we want to form our narrative. And we're living in a time where my truth and your truth is not real. It's just relative. We use it the way we want to. But when reality comes down and you begin to see why did they do what they did, won't you look into it a little bit? And you'll find out that a lot of times it doesn't fit anybody's narrative. It's just sad. It's just sad that things like that are happening. But what happens? 27% approval to 57% approval after who got killed? And everybody sees it, how horrible that is George Floyd. 57% because what? Black Lives Matter. That's all we need. And now we can keep doing our work. But that work is not just to take up for Black Lives Matter, but it's got other things with it as well. Before taking down it from the website, that's what cowards do, they were united, quote, to disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. That was on their website. What does that mean? Nuclear family structure. Man, woman, husband, wife, got some children, and that picture on the front, little father and mother with a girl and a little boy, maybe with a balloon. We're going to change, transforming that. That's not what the family is going to look like. And we'll transform that. We'll make it family friendly, point 2, but notice what they mean by disrupting the Western prescribed. We're going to take it out and transform it. We disrupt the Western prescribed new. See, this is the way it has family and been there. It's been there since Genesis. It's been there since mankind was started. And now we're going to change that. The Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement. See, if you can't have any other family. And we're saying that, we're going to make sure you don't ever remember what that one was when we get through. By supporting each other as extended families and villages. Have we heard it takes a village to raise a child? And that philosophy, and you heard it today, I think the next justice spoke about mentoring. It said it takes a village. She's learned things from some other people. It's a village. It's part of our culture. We learn from other people, and there's some truth to that. But what they mean by that is not mother and father. We're going to have an extended family. Because, see, our family, the husband, the father may have left the house a long time ago. So there's a one woman taking care of all these kids. And now we're going to extend that, and the government is going to come in. We're going to transform everything, and they collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. This is the family I think about. But you've got to realize what they're going to do. They're going to change the schools. It's not going to be a school like you knew it. It's going to be where we can bring in the material, how bad America is, all those things. It's a Marxist group. But see, Black Lives Matter. Now, I'm saying a picture's worth 1,000 words. What's happened in our society? Here's a lady, what she's got on her face. What does she have on her face? Is that current? That's current. I don't think there was a dust storm that day a few years ago. This is COVID-19. So you've got a young girl, college age. That's where they have set forth that America was founded on wrong principles. It was racist from its beginning. And we're not here just to reform it. We've got to transform it all. That's why all the statutes are going down. That's why capitalism, a black man may own a drugstore, knock it out. We're gonna lay it all out and transform it from the beginning like we want it to be. Utopia of socialism. But here's a young lady, that's all she's been taught in college. What does she have on her? You have Black Lives Matter for all those lines? Who's also connected there? Transgressors? Yeah, but what does it mean? What's queer? Strange? Are we living homosexuality here? I believe so. Poor? Let's divide society up. Got the poor against the rich. The rich are capitalists. We're not capitalists. We're going to take care of the poor and the young. Because the old people, they got it wrong. And so you have that. What I thought Black Lives Matter were just caring about black lives being wronged. It's more that we're going to transform it all. That's what we begin with. Because 57% went up. We all approve of them. Did our basketball players and our sports teams, our professional sports teams, they go along that idea? Black Lives Matter. We'll wear it on the shoes, wear it on the shirt, we'll put it on the court, and we'll have it behind the mound up on the TV screen because all of America cares about that. And that's how things go. But they're here to transform. So this picture is worth 1,000 words of what really Black Lives Matter is about. And by their own admission, they want to change the family structure that we have in America. Any questions on that? David? I agree with you. I was being facetious. That's right. That's what queer is too, back in my day. All right. So we look at the Black Lives Matter, we look at the nuclear family, we're going to change that. And you know, I'm not saying that's the only way to have a family, but that's the way God instituted it. And we're going to change that. Not reform it, change it. Now, Black Lives Matter, let's look at the next one. What about same-sex marriage? I want you to take you on a journey. It's been a long journey, but we have lived it now, but we sometimes need to think, how did all this get started? We got back to Greenwich Village, that's in New York. Back in the early morning hours of June 28th, 1969. Anybody who wasn't born yet in 69? We got some in here. One of our elders wasn't born in 69. That makes you feel old. But I don't want to say how old I was, but I was aware. New York Gay Club in Greenwich Village was raided on June 28th, 1969. It sparked, that was the beginning part of gays' right movement because they raided a gay bar. And so became why are you doing that to us? Because we're gay, we're queer, we're homosexuals. All right, so you go back from 69 to point 2, and I'm jumping way ahead, but can you believe that in 1996, the backlash against homosexuality had occurred? This is what society does. The gay rights are out there, and what happens? Our society, because of our traditions, maybe because of religious people, but other type of people, they fire back. And you began to have in the 80s and 90s You begin to have a backlash of conservative people, and I remember back in the day, well, man, maybe we're coming back. Maybe we're going to save America. To the point that Bill Clinton signs the Defense Marriage Act. When he's the Defense of Marriage Act, what does that mean? It prohibited the recognition of same-sex marriages at the federal level. Now, why would Bill Clinton? Because he knew, being voted, he knew the conservative movement, and he signed that into law. He signed it into law. That's 1996. But until we've gone back and forth, we talk about the pendulum spinning, but it may be going back and forth, but if we're not careful, we'll find out this is where society goes. Over the next decade, many states banned same-sex marriage, but all of a sudden, 2000, Vermont instituted the same-sex, we won't call it marriage. It will be what? Civil union, because it's just not fair. Two homosexuals, they want to be together, and yet when it comes down to their death, they don't get the same benefits because they love someone, can't leave something like that to a husband and wife. So they civil unions. We'll take care of that problem. Homosexuality, we'll just take care of that problem. But that's not where people want to go. They're going to transform what God has set forth clearly in His Word. And that's why Massachusetts became the first state to legalize same-sex marriage in 2003. Here comes George W. Bush, Barack Obama, their presidencies. There was the cultural wars. I still remember them. Culture's going a different way. Young people being taught this, and older people, and we're going different directions. Barack Obama was elected on a platform of liberal change in 2008. He did not fully endorse same-sex marriage at the time of his election. Wasn't time yet. But he did state his opposition to that law that President Clinton signed and instructed his Justice Department to stop defending it. What year? 2011. Comfortable now. In 2013, the Supreme Court ruled that what Clinton had brought into being, that on the federal level, no same-sex marriage, they ruled it unconstitutional. Does society change? God's Word didn't change. Society's doing it. And just keep pounding. 69, 79, 89, 99, 2000, and we get new generations. They've been taught everything's fine. That's really, and you've seen it. Idea when you say your sex preference, that's racist, because that's who you are. That's almost like your skin color, and a person doesn't choose. But my point is, even if a person says this is who I am, you do prefer this over that one, don't you? But no, you can't use the word. The battle is there all the time, even the terminology used. So at the same time, when they ruled that it was unconstitutional, they did not hear the case regarding the California ban. There was a number of states that now had come together, and so what they did, they won't hear the case. It effectively made same-sex marriage legal in California. And then I never thought this would ever happen, but June 26, 2015, same-sex marriage is made legal nationwide with the Supreme Court ruling of Obergefell and Hodges. Hodges was the Ohio government official. You can't see. Obergefell was married to a man, and he was in Maryland. Maryland says you can have same-sex marriage. They go to Ohio, and it's illegal there. So it's going to filter up to the Supreme Court. We've got to make something. We got to do something. And what happened is that they had a number of Ohio cases. And so the Supreme Court, there was about 13 to 16 different cases in this one, but they named it this one. And that's not anybody but the director of the government. And they took that case on, and they determined that it was now legal to be married. Homosexuals can have the word married connected with them. and it would be nationwide. So what are we living with now? Do you even give it a thought? Same-sex marriage. People are proud to do a service for same-sex marriage. It was ruled as being the 14th Amendment situation, where it's never even included in the 14th Amendment, but there's the idea of no state can keep one from its rights. Here's the pursuit of life, liberty, and that you're keeping me from my love and my life and my liberty. And that's how it got through the Supreme Court. And to be humane to humanity, what had happened is that people have realized they had bought the line that homosexuality is no longer a choice. It's who I am. And therefore, you can't discriminate against me because of my race, my ethnicity. So it opens the doors, and it opens the door. And people keep trying to find it. So I have to fight back. No one has a right to bring same-sex into the conversation and call it marriage. That's always been reserved for the male and the female with God. And that's the way we're going to preach it. And that will not be something that people want to hear. But, got anything about same-sex marriage? It's here. How's that going to be overturned? I don't know. But it's there, and people are accustomed to it now. Your children will be accustomed to it. You just like it. It makes you sick to see outward manifestations of all that. But that's our culture. And we've got, for God's people, to be teaching our children what's right, but we're going to live that way. And we're going to have to be careful not to be carried in it as well. What about divorce in the United States? You'll see on page 3, I put a graph here. You can learn a lot of stuff by the graphs. It's about the number of divorces per 1,000 people. And notice what happens to marriage when World War I ends and World War II ends. What happens to marriage? Does it spike up or down? Okay. Up. Yeah, war's over. Let's get married. Let's have children. What happened during the Depression? Did marriage go up or down? Down. I wonder what COVID, is marriage going down or up? It very well could be going down, but it was down during those particular times. But when you heard us preach and divorce rate for every marriage there's a divorce. Half of like it's 50%. I'd hear that sometimes. It never was true. But because it was not every marriage, not 50% of all marriages is going to end in divorce. But in a particular year, the number of marriages that were done and the number of divorces, sometimes it would come there. But look at what's happened since you go from after World War II, you had the divorce rate go down after the marriages go up, but it follows that line, and so you had in the late 1970s until 1990 was divorce up higher than it's ever been. That's when we're preaching. That's when I know I was preaching those things. Got to deal with that. But also, it corresponds that marriage was ticking up as well. But what happens since 1980s? What has been happening to the divorce rate? It goes down, and this is 2010, so we can go 154 years now if we had that. But it continues to go down. You look at the bottom of page 3. Since 2000, and I didn't know this till I started studying this, California, Georgia, Hawaii, Louisiana, Minnesota, they've stopped reporting divorce rates. But it's still clear that the number of divorces is declining all over the U.S. By 2010, the rate of divorces dropped to 3.6 for every 1,000 people. That's equivalent to what was happening in the late 60s. It's kind of similar to, on that same scale there. 3.6 for every 1,000 people. In 2017, the rate reached 2.9, with only 787,251 divorces. It's the lowest it's been since '68. So it goes down and up, and we hit the 80s and 90s, and we're worried about it. But why is it that the marriages have gone down? Well, that means that divorces would go down. But what's happening among young people? They're the ones getting married. I could give another. The divorce rate of people over 55, it's high. They keep divorcing, but the younger people aren't. Why do you think that is? Yeah, and that's a part of it. But the ones that are getting married are not divorcing. Why? I got married when I was 19. Is that too young for some of you parents with kids 18? And here I am in the 70s. What's getting ready to happen in my generation? It's going up. I remember in high school, a lot of the kids got married. Kathy and I about the only ones that hung on. All of our classmates got divorced within 5 years. Done. Why is that? Maybe they're too young to understand relationships, but what's happening to a younger generation today? They're not getting married at 19. They're not getting married till maybe they get out of college. We weren't waiting. Well, at college, people drop out, that sort of thing. But they wait till, and they want to be established. I want to have a job. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to be established. And a lot of them are waiting a long time. And from a particular secular standpoint, a lot of it has to do with income stability, because a lot of times money will cause problems in divorces. But I think the point is made, we'll just cohabit. That's happening, and I'm not disqualifying that. I'm not saying people are getting more moral, but there's less marriages because it may be that, so they're not going to be a divorce rate. You can't get a divorce rate from California, Georgia, Hawaii anymore. But a lot of it has to be they're waiting longer. Maybe they're more mature when they get married. That's been offered as a point, but right now it continues to go down, and we'll see if it ever spikes. All right? Let's look at the history. We'll talk about the divorce in our country. I'll read some of this in page 4. Legislation in many states after the independence from England. So we're looking at 1780 to 1790. Connecticut permitted divorce. Back in that day, they permitted divorce. Here are the reasons: fraudulent contract, adultery, desertion for 3 years. You ain't coming back. So you can get a divorce now. Or prolonged absence with the presumption of death. In 1843, the state added 2 additional grounds for divorce: habitual drunkenness and intolerable cruelty. How you like the language? Intolerable cruelty. Get rid of him. Or her. I don't know which one it goes. In 1849, if the guy's in prison for life, that'd be a reason. Infamous crime involving a violation of the conjugal duty. I don't know if that's rape. I don't know what that was. Any such misconduct as permanently destroys the happiness of the petitioner and defeats the purpose of the marriage relationship. That would be a catch-all for me if I want to get out of divorce, out of a marriage. Just put it on that. That's 1780, 1790. Well, they were godly people back then. Really? When it came down, they were getting more and more marriage, divorce. California's first divorce law was in 1851. They came a state in 1850, so they get on that real quickly. They allow for divorce on the grounds of impotence, adultery, extreme, I say country, I don't mean that, cruelty, let's put it that way. We'll have to change that. It's not that he's a hick. Desertion of neglect, habitual intemperance, fraud, and conviction for a family, in jail. thought I'd bring in a little Texas, and we're on the board here in Harris County. First divorce in Texas is considered by some as being granted. They say it's either 1840, so I went to 1838. That's the other one. In 1838, March 24th in Harrisburg, later Harris County, granted to Susanna Dickinson because her then husband John Williams, whom she married on November the 27th, 1837, beat her and her daughter, who would have been 3 years old at the time. It wasn't for adultery, was it? It was kind of like what brethren say you can divorce for today. That's, that's still when it's a republic. 1845, it became a state. So divorce was taking place. They had their reasons for it. What is the reason in the New Testament for divorce? Adultery. That's all I read. But see, society was that way, and it's been that way ever since. Now, our time is quick. What about no-fault divorce? Do you consider that as something that, well, that's just commonplace? It was first enacted in California, September the 5th, 69. Who signed that law into being? Governor Ronald Reagan signed it. It was the Family Laws Act of 69. And since then, since California, every state has legalized some form of no-fault divorce. Now, here's what happened when Reagan signed it in. The moral basis for marriage was wiped away by the stroke of the pen. No fault. What does Matthew 19:9 say? Somebody at fault? A marriage ends, according to God, you could have the reason for putting it away. It's because of divorce. Whose fault is that? It's that guy or that woman's. And no fault. Just change the pen. Just with the pen, no fault divorce allows that. Now, let's talk about both sides of the issue. Well, there are benefits from that. From a secular point of view, yes, and this is the way it usually comes to law. We begin to think, you know what, if things were done by a line, there's not going to be any fault. It just didn't work out, so it voids a perjury charge. That would work better. It's less demeaning to both spouses. Nobody's at fault. That's not why this thing's. We're not going to spread that before the courts. We're not going to demean you in front of the children, because see what's getting ready to happen. They don't talk about this. What gets to happen when you have a child custody case? You got two parents divorcing, and one parent wants the children, the other parent wants the. What's getting ready to happen? There'll be some blame. You want the children to listen to that? They will. They'll find out which is the bad parent, which is the good parent. They probably already know. But it's less demeaning to both spouses. It allows children to maintain good relationships with both parents, not thinking one parent has a bad character. So I think this is more humane. And Governor Brown in 1966 started it. In 1969, Governor Reagan signs it. It just keeps playing, like homosexuality, marriage. That's how the devil works. Does it have problems? It makes divorce too easy. I think that's a legitimate thing. I don't have to have a reason for divorcing. Growing up in a two-parent house has advantages for children, has that, and therefore that's a problem. You're getting ready to have a divided home. Maybe a single mother has to put her career on the side so she can support her children. So there's a lower standard for living for one spouse. In part 3, not much resistance the spouse can do to stop the unwanted divorce. We're supposed to be married for life. Did we promise that to one another? That goes by the wayside. In conclusion, do you know what some states have? And I ask you, is this a good deal? Is covenant marriage the answer? In 1997, Louisiana and Arkansas and Arizona are three states that have brought in covenant, have brought in covenant marriage. You have premarital counseling. Is that a good idea? On board for that? Anytime I do a wedding, I will talk to the people getting married before we do it. That's premarital counseling. I think that's a good idea. But here's what they have in their states. Here's the divorce restrictions. You can only divorce for adultery, felony, substance abuse, physical or sexual abuse of a spouse or child, and you've got to, first of all, live separately for a minimum of 2 years before you can go get a divorce. Well, where would we read that in the Bible? But you can get a divorce if you go through that. So it's making divorce harder. But what is God's marriage He instituted? One man, one woman, how long? For life. Got one exception. It's fornication, a broad term for adultery. And our time is up, but those 3 passages bring the Old Testament, Jesus' time, and Paul's time, where that is true. And I hope that we'll think, well, the next lesson after our meeting is back there too, the sanctity of marriage. That probably needs to be emphasized more than how many ways can you divorce somebody. And we'll want to lay down the sanctity of marriage. Okay, we'll deal with the relationships as well as we go. But that's our beginning. That the marriage family is under attack. Marriage is being changed. It's being transformed. And we need to be ready to combat that with our next generation. Thank you.